Welcome back to Grow Tropical Fruits. Today I'm just doing a quick impromptu video on trying to rescue this variegated Scarlet Jaboticaba. It's been struggling in the large pot that was in, so I reduced the size of the pot, and at the same time I added a Sabara seedling in with next to it so that I can approach graft to it in order to give it another root system to survive off of. Hopefully this will improve the growth rate of this, since it's kind of sat stagnant for a long time and it hasn't really grown much. And you can see it's kind of struggling. The leaf is not happy. Variegated seedlings tend to grow really slow anyway, but this one has just kind of stunted and hasn't gone anywhere. So I am just trying to rescue this one. I'm going to just be as careful as I can to try and join these two together to make them one plant with two root systems. So first we're going to take our sanitized snips, pruning shears, and cut off the canopy of the Sabara and get an idea of where these two are going to want to line up and match. I'm going to be as careful as I can, since this is probably one of the most rare things I have and I really don't want it to die. So I'm just going to remove this bad leaf. Grab my floral knife. I would probably normally use a razor blade for this, and I have a razor blade with me in case this is not going to work, but let's just give it a shot, see if we can bring these together. So I'm going to start with the root stock that I'm going to try and graft onto it. I'm just kind of matching them, see where they line up. And I'm going to spin it towards myself so that I cut with the correct side of the blade. So that one cut should be enough. And then let's try and cut this variegated scarlet along that same axis. I'm just going to do a real shallow cut here. A little bit deeper. Cut a little bit deeper. If you want more detail about what I'm doing, I did post another video that has more in-depth information about what's going on right now. This one is more of just a documentation to see if I can rescue this rare seedling. Okay, it's gonna have to work. We're just gonna deal with it. Now, I think the seedling probably would have survived regardless if I did this. It's just the root system on it was really weak, and I want to try and make it happier. I feel like it's on the verge of just kind of declining endlessly, and I'm trying to catch it before it's too late. I'm just going to line up the cuts, squeeze them together, and start wrapping from the bottom up. I'm going to actually start below the cut to get the wrap going, to kind of hold it in place. And then as I go up, I can position it better. Okay, so now that I have the bottom wrapped together pretty snug, I can line up the cuts as I go up and then squeeze at the same time to bring them nice and snug together. So right now there's a pretty big gap that we need to fill in. The seedling is actually pretty old, but because it's a variegated, it's inherently slow to grow because it lacks as much chlorophyll as a non-variegated seedling, and that for it to stabilize, you kind of need to keep it in the shade, and that also probably reduces the amount of growth from the seedling. So now that I've gone all the way up and then back down, I'm going to continue going back up again. Okay, so that was one piece of buddy tape. I'll tape one more piece and put it on there just to secure it. It's probably good already, but we're just going to overdo it in hopes of making a better connection. I'm trying to eliminate all variables as far as reasons this won't work, and I really want this to survive. And then after a couple months, I should be able to take a peek underneath the tape and see if they're healed together. I'll probably keep them on there, or keep the tape on there maybe a little longer than 2 months, but I don't want to do too much longer because I don't want it to girdle the seedling by choking off the nutrients to the rest of the plant. So now that I'm at about this point, I'm gonna kind of use it like it's a rope. To create more tension. And this one I will do a follow-up video if it works, or if it doesn't work, I'll just do a follow-up video to let you guys know how much I messed up or how I saved the day. This is a sink or swim scenario. This has got to work. Normally I wouldn't do a video for this particular situation because I feel like anytime I do something on video, I'm sacrificing paying close attention because I'm trying to show you guys what I'm doing. So I apologize if this doesn't look as good as it could. I'm really trying to focus on making sure that this has the best chance of success. So I'm gonna call that good. I did spray a little bit of like vitamin water in here, which had a combination of fulvic and humic acid as well as thiamine B1 vitamin, also sold as Super Thrive. I don't know if it's snake oil and not gonna actually help, but I just did a very minute amount and then water with it, since I did just repot this from a different larger size. The root structure on the variegated was very small, so I'm hoping that putting this healthy Sabara rootstock in there and approach grafting them together, or double rootstock grafting, will give it the nutrition that it needs, give it the support it needs to keep growing. I think as I was looking closer, I don't know if you can see, but up by this top leaf, I think there is a little bit of growth coming out. So I am more hopeful than I was like the past week when this thing was looking pretty sad and hasn't showed any signs of life. But now that I see that little tiny bit of growth potentially started up at the top, I'm remaining more optimistic that this is still going to survive, and what I'm doing is just going to be a net gain or a positive for it. So that's my attempt on rescuing this variegated Scarlet escarlate jaboticaba seedling. It is probably about a year old, and I hope you guys learned something. This isn't really terribly educational, it's more about just experimentation, and hopefully that this will do much better in the future. So hopefully you guys have a good one, and hopefully the weather is still good in your area. If you have any questions, leave them down at the bottom in the comment section. If you want to follow along and catch the updates on all the projects that I'm doing, including this one, then subscribe for more content, and you guys have a good one. Aloha.